This is the fastest movement in nature, faster than you can blink your eye. Faster than your brain will even be able to process. It's called a mantis shrimp, and while it kind of just looks like any other shrimp, it will break the bone in your finger if you try to poke it. Instantly. They can break aquarium glass, clam shells, crab armor. All with something the size of a baby carrot. And if a human tried to strike at the same speed, you would shatter all the bones in your hand. Why did these shrimp evolve to be so much more violent than any other shrimp in the sea? And what are they defending themselves against to make the weakest crustaceans in the ocean need to have a gun attached to their hand? To answer these questions, we first need to understand what a mantis shrimp actually is. Despite the name, mantis shrimp aren't actually shrimp at all. They are crustaceans, yes, but they belong to a completely different order called stomatopods, which split off from other modern crustaceans very early in evolutionary history, like close to 400 million years ago. There are thousands of species, and they range a lot in size. So while some are about the size of your hand, others grow to the size of your forearm. And even though they belong to the same group as shrimp, crabs, and lobsters, the mantis shrimp isn't really a normal crustacean. They're actually divided into two types based off the weapon they'd use to kill you: sharp spines or punching clubs. The spines belong to the warrior class, called spearers, and yes, these things will literally stab you with a spear. Spearers have these sharp weapons made of chitin and calcium phosphate to ambush, instead of relying solely on brute force. And because of them, they don't really need to go too far from their burrow to find food. Instead, the spearer waits for fish or squid to pass by, then strikes in a split second. Another warrior class is called smashers, and these are the ones who got famous, because instead of stabbing their prey, they just punch it. Smashers grab their target with their claws, position it just right, and then they'll absolutely destroy any other crustacean that walks towards them. So they've developed an insta-kill, so they can terrorize the reef. But why? Isn't this a bit overkill just to hunt some little fish? Well, most food in the micro-reef is locked inside thick shells. And despite growing up to about 15 inches long, stomatopods aren't large enough to hunt big animals. So the mantis shrimp had to find another way to survive in its environment. Instead of relying purely on muscle, stomatopods evolved weapons capable of delivering extreme force, making their strikes up to 1,500 newtons. Neither you or me actually know how strong 1,500 newtons is off the top of our head. Well, technically, humans can punch harder, reaching around 3,300 newtons. Your grandma is probably punching at somewhere around 75 newtons. And an average grown man might be punching at only 400. First, the contact area is way smaller on the mantis shrimp. That means the pressure is way higher, which is why they're so much better at puncturing a crab shell. You don't expect to be walking through the ocean and randomly feel the force of Mike Tyson punching your toe. Basically, no other animals in the ocean punch like this. Even though some try to use a similar strategy, like the boxer crab, no one in the ocean can actually punch the way mantis shrimp can. And honestly, punching things turned out to be an incredible strategy. The mantis shrimp has survived multiple mass extinctions. They made it through the Great Dying of the Permian era, the largest die-off event in Earth's history, and also the asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs. So, if punching is so good, why isn't everything else in the ocean punching too? The short answer is physics. If you've ever tried to throw a punch while standing in a swimming pool, you know exactly what happens. Your arm moves through the water in what feels like slow motion. This is because water is about 800 times denser than air. It creates a massive amount of drag. But there is a second, even bigger problem: the speed limit of meat. If you're a shark or a tuna, you can be strong or you can be fast, but you usually can't be both at the exact same millisecond. So the smasher uses a saddle-shaped spring mechanism in its exoskeleton to store elastic energy. When the latch is released, the club accelerates to over 50 miles per hour. This basically vaporizes water momentarily, because when the mantis shrimp punches, it generates a low pressure zone behind it. This event is called a cavitation bubble, and when these bubbles collapse, they unleash a secondary shock wave. At the exact moment of collapse, the bubbles emit a tiny flash of light and briefly reach temperatures of several thousand degrees Kelvin. You don't even need to be hit by the punch to get completely obliterated. The Mantis Shrimps Club follows a design known as the Bouligon structure. In this structure, layers of chitin fiber are stacked in overlapping sheets. Because of this arrangement, when the smasher delivers a strike and receives the impact in return, the force isn't concentrated in one point. Instead, it's dispersed across multiple layers, dramatically reducing damage. The same structure is now being studied by scientists to inspire the design of bulletproof vests. But having a weapon that moves faster than a bullet is useless if you can't actually find your target. For some reason, when something gets close to a mantis shrimp, it will just simply stop and stare. It also rotates its eyes while staring. Although this looks kind of odd, the mantis shrimp is actually tweaking the photoreceptors inside its eyes. This basically means almost nothing can stay hidden from them, not even transparent animals. And camouflage is also pretty much useless when you're trying to hide from a mantis shrimp. Since they have between 12 and 16 photoreceptors, they can detect way more wavelengths than we can. But they don't actually see more colors. All those photoreceptors just allow mantis shrimp to recognize specific color signatures. Mantis shrimp can see circularly polarized light, a phenomenon in which light waves rotate in a circular motion. It can also perceive depth with just one eye while moving each eye independently. We still don't actually fully understand why this animal evolves such efficient vision, though. It's strange, but although there's a bunch of hypotheses, there isn't a single definitive explanation for why their eyes became this extreme. It's probably for hunting, although they live in bright reefs, but it is weirdly overkill. But despite these insane eyes, the weirdest part about the mantis shrimp was that they developed a brain. Other crustaceans do have brains, of course, but mantis shrimp's brains are weird. They have insect brains. It evolved something called mushroom bodies. They're basically advanced processing structures that act like a cerebral cortex. Inside the mantis shrimp's brain, sensory information is first received, then integrated to produce complex responses. That information is then stored as a memory, which allows the mantis shrimp to remember specific hunting locations and recognize neighboring individuals. So yeah, it can basically hold a grudge against animals it's encountered before. Most animals rely on something called idiothetic path integration to find their way back home. When an animal moves around, it keeps track of its own movements internally. It records every turn it makes and estimates the distance between its current position and its burrow. Now, this is something usually only seen in insects, like ants, bees, and stuff. And something really rare in the ocean. While most crustaceans are solitary and aggressive, some species of mantis shrimp are actually monogamous. They find a partner and stay with them for up to 20 years. They share a burrow, they coordinate their hunting, and they even take turns guarding the eggs. These guys are the ultimate proof that in the ocean, size doesn't actually matter. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, like and subscribe.